Why'd you get rid of that shirt?
It had pieces of my mother's brain stuck to it. I killed Josh with a sledgehammer, too.
This is 15-year-old Zachary Davis. He's just been brought in for questioning after a fire was discovered at his house. Initially, the tragedy appeared to be nothing more than an unfortunate accident. That is, until a body was discovered inside the home. Even more horrifying was the fact that the victim, Zachary's mother, hadn't been killed by the flames, but by a sledgehammer before the fire was even started. In about 3 seconds, you'll see Zachary crack, but not in the way anyone expected.
You have to say. I think you know who you're doing it.
In this never-before-seen intense 10th, 2012, emergency services were called to a house fire in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Inside the burning home, firefighters discovered the body of Melanie Davis lying on her bed, covered in blood and brutally disfigured. The single mom of 2 teenage boys worked as a paralegal and trained as a triathlete. Outside the home, one of her sons, 17-year-old Joshua Davis, waited with the police. But his younger brother, Zachary, was nowhere to be found. 4 hours later, and around 5 miles from the home, police spotted 15-year-old Zachary Davis as he walked alone down a road, attempting to leave town. He was subsequently picked up and brought to the Summer Country Sheriff's Office for questioning. His interview is just the beginning of a
What we like to do is talk to you about going out and happened at your house, and that's what we kind of like to talk to you about. I've seen some cop shows and stuff, right? Some police shows and things like that. You just have rights and stuff, and so before asking questions, you must understand your rights. You want to go ahead and talk to us about what happened tonight?
Yes, sure.
Okay. If you do, just Zach, what I want to do is make sure you understand that this is a waiver, right? Saying you're waiving your rights. So I'd like to do is make sure you can read and write. If you would, read that last paragraph out loud.
I've read the statement of my rights and understand what my rights are.
With his confirmation that he's waiving his rights, the interview gets underway.
Nothing.
So, no trouble in school, nothing like that?
Nothing.
One of the obvious, unusual characteristics about Zachary is his lack of expression of emotion, or flat facial expression are indications of a person who is either guarded and is consciously avoiding any show of emotion, or a person who struggles to express emotion because of some other issue, such as a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia, or a developmental disorder like autism spectrum disorder. Though he doesn't offer up a lot of information himself, the investigators have researched Zachary's family and began asking him about his past to get him comfortable with talking to them.
I understand that your father had passed away.
Yes, sir.
How did he pass away?
He died from Eric's disease.
Pretty rough on you, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Didn't bother you?
Yes, sir.
I was told that it bothered you. That you were upset about your brother. Is that not true?
Yes, sir.
So it is true?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In 2007, the Davis family faced their first tragedy, but certainly not their last. The 2 boys lost their father, Chris, to amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. Losing a parent is traumatic for any child, but despite his denials, his father's death impacted Zachary even more severely than most, and with consequences that would unfold years later. According to family, Zachary was already a quiet kid, but at only 9 years old when his father died, he became even more withdrawn. Following the tragedy, the family, now just Melanie and her 2 sons, moved to Sumner County, and though this was meant to be a fresh start, things would only get worse for them once there. At 11, Zachary began to display strange behavior, though it isn't clear exactly what, but Melanie grew concerned enough to seek medical help for her son.
Have you ever had to see a doctor for anything as far as you having problems with you think about things different?
I saw a therapist with that wasn't a very long direction of time.
What was that about? Who wanted to see a therapist?
My mother.
She did. Somebody with a couple this on? How long ago was that? You remember what year that was? What were the reasons that your mama wanted you to go there?
She never told me.
Zachary was diagnosed with a depressive disorder, but that was just the beginning. He also told doctors that he was hearing voices, including the voice of his deceased father, and he was soon diagnosed with psychosis. However, at some point, his mother stopped his mental health treatment, but it's unknown exactly why. While psychosis itself is not a clinical disorder, it is a symptom that is often associated with schizophrenia. Onset of schizophrenia in children is very rare, but still possible. Other causes of hearing voices during childhood could include depression, an anxiety disorder, and/or experiencing a traumatic event, such as the death of a parent. Despite Zachary telling investigators he wasn't seeing anyone for help, the calendar on his phone showed that he had at least one meeting with the guidance counselor at his school, Ms. Higgs, indicating that perhaps someone realized something was wrong, though no one could have guessed the true extent of just how disturbed he was.
Something went on at your house today, and I just kind of like you to kind of tell us what happened.
I killed my mom in her sleep with a sledgehammer.
Is there a reason why you did that?
Yes, sir.
Well, can you tell me why?
No, sir.
You can't tell me why?
No, sir.
Is it a reason you don't know why you did it, or you just don't want to tell?
I didn't know why I did it. Just letting my tongue.
Okay. You do know why you did it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you set the house on fire too?
I tried to. I don't know. I actually got the whole house on fire now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it did down in a little bit, I think, but not bad or anything. Have you been having problems with your mom?
No, sir.
Unlike most crimes, it's all too clear that Zachary is the killer. But though he states freely that he killed his mother, this story will change eventually. Hauntingly, recovered text messages between Zachary and his mom see a heart emoji. Another, this one from Melanie to Zachary, reads, "Love you. Tried to talk to you before we left, but you're
On a notepad that was on you. It said some things in there. Is that notepad yours? The way down? It talks about your mom and about
Yes, sir.
and that's what's so important about this. I mean, we want to understand what, like I said, you don't have to tell us if you don't want to. I mean, but we want to understand, what happened. I mean, that's important. I know it could be kind of scary to talk about, but would you feel more comfortable if you were just one person in the room?
I don't mind having two people here.
Okay, sure.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, like I told you in your rights, you don't have to tell us if you don't want to. It's very important, though, that, something like this that happens, there's usually a reason for it. That's what we want to know, is the reason. This is your time to tell us, why that happened.
I'd rather not, sir.
Okay.
the text messages from the dead. It's eerily clear that Melanie had no idea what Zachary was planning, or that she would meet such a horrific end just hours after attending a movie with her two sons. Zachary's brother Josh has also been brought to the police station to speak with police. He was asked to recount his day before the fire was set. He told them that he had gone to the orthodontist with his mother before returning home. His answer also reveals a bit about his relationship with his brother.
What's that doing when you get home?
I think she's playing next floor. We kind of keep to ourselves, I guess.
Okay, so you guys don't have a good relationship?
Well, no, we do. It's just like I don't know. Like he just kind of, stays to himself. He's kind of a quiet person, I guess.
Have you been having any problems?
He's always been kind of like quiet, I guess odd.
Josh seems hesitant to talk about his brother, and although he's giving limited information, the descriptive words such as quiet and odd may indicate that Zachary was showing signs of mental health issues. A family member would be hysterical and wondering, or at least theorizing, about what could have prompted Zachary to commit such a horrific act.
Brother, you said to call him Mel, teenager. Typical male teenage. You two get along pretty good? Sometimes.
Despite this claim, texts between the brothers show that they messaged fairly often, talking about how their school year was delayed, video games, and how Zachary wanted to spend his birthday alone, with Josh writing to him. If you
Who you talk to? I mean, you got friends you chat with or anything like that?
No, sir. I usually only talk to my mother and my brother and my aunt.
So you don't have any friends other than your mother and your brother that you talk to?
No, sir.
Zachary may not have had many friends outside of his family. 29th, 2012. I saw Mr. Voss at school today. From the way he looked at me, I could tell he hated me. I didn't know what to say to him, so I just kept walking. I really hope I can repair our friendship before I leave Tennessee. He's the only person I've met that has sincerely cared about me. Hell, he's like a father to me. I don't know what I did to cause this, but I hope it can be forgiven. Mr. Voss is also the only true friend I've ever had. This note depicts a very different person from the emotionally detached teen we're seeing in this interrogation. Went directly home.
You didn't see anything tonight that was any different than the way he normally acts.
I mean, no.
It's surprising that Zachary was not either acting differently from his typical behavior just prior to murdering his mother, or at least showing a change in his behavior recently. The level of aggression that he inflicted on his mother when he killed her, and the simple fact that he went through with murdering her, are behaviors that occur when a person has snapped.
Talked to my mom for a little while, and then
You know about what time that was?
that was right around 9, probably. That was right when I said good night.
Describing what were his last moments with his mother, Josh still shows very little, if any, emotion.
When you get home and your
Zachary didn't just set the fire in an attempt to destroy the evidence of him killing his mother, but also in the hopes that his brother would be killed by the flames. As well, to ensure Melanie's death, after hitting her with a sledgehammer, Zachary locked the door behind him to prevent Josh from going in and potentially helping her.
And then
If his story will match the forensic evidence found on Melanie's body.
When you went in,
Anyone else, because of his willingness to answer most of the investigators' questions, except for his all-important motive, they ask him a series of questions to get as much information as possible.
you mentioned,
Why'd you throw it away? I assumed could be traps for Okay. What was your plans as far, do you have any plans on where you're heading to, or how, evidently you were trying to escape and trying to get away from police, remember where you're trying to go to? No, sure. You had a backpack, so you had left, you were just gonna walk and just try and get out of the area? Yeah, sure.
Chillingly, after killing his mom and fleeing the house, Zachary went to a convenience store to buy a Pepsi before he began walking. After setting the fire, Zachary ran non-stop for almost 5 miles, with no destination in mind. Ironically, a note on his phone written 7 months earlier on January 22nd, 2012, indicates that he had thought about his escape, or at least criminals escaping police detection more broadly. The note states, "After reading dozens of news reports about killers, I believe I found several consistent reasons why most killers are caught within a year. They rely too much on civilization. Most killers hide out in heavily populated areas or easily accessible areas. They don't migrate to other areas after several kills in a row. This makes the police in their area more alert and the citizens more cautious. Most rely too much on firearms or other weapons that produce loud noises. This will attract unwanted attention to their location."
I was trying to put it into my backpack, and then the fire alarm started, and I just ran off.
what were you going to use that knife for? Who were you going to use the knife on?
No specific person.
Were you looking to kill someone else tonight?
Only if they got in my way.
What do you mean by that?
If they're trying to stop me from escaping.
So the lady at Thornton's who sold you the Pepsi, she was never in any danger.
No, sir.
But the officer that arrested you could have potentially been in danger if you were of the mind.
I guess, but it won't be kind much considering he had a gun. I just had a knife and a hammer.
What if he didn't have a gun and he tried to stop you?
I wouldn't attack him unless it was provoked by him.
Were you provoked by your brother?
No, sir.
Were you provoked by your mother?
No, sir.
What is most troubling?
Zach, it's kind of serious thing, but think about killing your mom. You didn't try to talk to anybody about this? No, sure. Why not? I mean, wouldn't this not bother you? Or? Yeah, sure. Did it bother you? No, sure. Oh, did it bother you? Have you ever hurt anybody before? No, sure. You killed your mom.
It's possible that Zachary
I mean, was there any problems between you and him, or him and your mom, or did they have any disagreements, or, I mean, was there anything
Like, I think they would argue.
other than normal,
Yeah.
normal parents?
Not that I know of.
And yet, Zachary had savagely attacked his mother while she slept.
Right after you hit her with it. I just waited and longer. Why did you hit her about 12 times within why so many times? To make sure she was dead.
The officer asked Zachary to demonstrate how he swung the sledgehammer to kill his mother.
Kind of like that, basically. So you're right-handed? Yes, sir.
Stand back up. Stand back up. Is that blood on your pants right there? In the front. Right where your crotch is.
Oh, now that's dirty.
Did you change clothes?
This is blood, though.
Oh, okay. And is that your mother's blood?
Yes, sir.
Are those the same shoes you were wearing?
Yes, sir.
Those are the same pants you were wearing?
Yes, sir.
That's the same shirt you were wearing?
No, sir.
Where's the shirt you were wearing?
I threw it away.
Why'd you get rid of that shirt?
It had pieces of my mother's brain stuck to it.
Still trying to understand why Zachary had killed his mother in such a brutal way, the officer asks him to recount his day before the attack. It was then that detectives noticed something interesting. Zachary told them that he started his day by reading a book, Misery by Stephen King.
In the book, in the misery.
He denies that the book inspired his weapon of choice, possibly because he wants to take hanging over the masses like a shadow or a dark cloud, executing them all one by one without a sound, omnipresent and biding its time, ready to steal you away at your prime, welcoming to the stupid and the bold, not following any pattern, just doing as told, laying to rest kings, queens, peasants, and thrall. Death will eventually punish us all.
Wind the clock and go back. What would you do? I'd kill Josh with a sledgehammer, too.
In stark contrast to Zachary's statement, when Josh was brought in for a second interview, the detective asks him about an incident that occurred at school, showing that the brothers saw their relationship with each other completely differently.
But when you got in trouble with this school, I think it was last year, what happened to cause that when you got in a fight? Somebody said picking on Zach. Oh, no, that was 8th grade. Oh, was it 8th grade? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Middle school.
Yeah. What happened to call? I mean, what were they doing?
He was like, like a piece paper, like, you know, you roll up a thing of paper.
Mm-hmm.
He was just kind of hitting him with that.
Hitting Zach with it?
Yeah, and I told him to keep this stop, and he went up there and did it again.
Okay. Didn't what was Zach's take on that? I mean, was he mad that the guy was hitting him, or was he just indifferent, or did he ask you to do something about it, or was
No, he didn't ask me to do anything.
he just taking up for little brother?
It's possible that Zachary resented that his brother stepped in to be the hero. He may have been frustrated that he couldn't protect himself and instead had to be saved by Josh.
Do you still want to kill Josh?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
And you're not going to tell me why?
No, sure.
I'm really curious as to why. I mean, you said that he was the only confidant you had. You didn't talk to anybody else. Why would you want to get rid of the only person that you confide in and talk to?
I don't know.
Well, you said you don't want to tell me, so you do know. There's a difference in wanting to tell me and not knowing. You just told me you did want to tell me, so you do know why you want to kill your brother and you killed your mother. I would just like for you to share that with me.
I probably don't sure.
But you will admit that you know why you did it.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you always talk like you're talking to us now?
Yes, sir.
So if I talk to someone that knows you or a teacher, they're going to say, this is your demeanor. This is how you talk.
Most likely.
And so you're always monotone and robotic when you talk.
Yes, sir.
Unnerved by Zachary's behavior during his interrogation, detectives asked Josh the same question.
Has he always been talking that monotone voice? Like quiet? He's kind of quiet, and you know, his voice don't go up or down. It's just like a flat monotone voice. Is that the way you normally talk? Always? When did he start talking that way? It's always been the way I remember it. Really? Yes. You ever laugh? Sometimes. What makes you laugh? Various things. Various things.
Give me an example.
Well, I was laughing myself when I killed my mother.
You were what?
I was laughing when I killed my mother. You were laughing? Why were you laughing? I don't know. Were you laughing your ass off at that time? Yes, sir.
Paradoxical laughter often occurs among people with schizophrenia. They may laugh either to themselves, often in response to a hallucination, or they may laugh in serious situations. However, throughout the interrogation, he has not laughed inappropriately at all. It's possible that Zachary once again is trying to present himself as the evil villain he may identify with.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. We went over this a while ago. You know why that you wanted to kill your mom. You just don't want to tell me.
No, I actually don't know why I was laughing.
Well, was it a sense of accomplishment?
No, sir.
Do you laugh when you read the horror books?
No, sir.
Did you laugh today when you or yesterday when you read Misery?
No, sir.
Do you see do you see why it would be difficult for me to understand why that would be funny?
Yes, sir. A lot of people said it's just highly unusual for a 15-year-old to take a sledgehammer and be laughing his ass off and hit her in the head with it 12 times. What do you think? I don't have any information to give you. You can't think of any reason whatsoever? No, sir.
With still no indication why he killed his mother in such a brutal way, the detective attempts to figure out if there were any issues in the family that may have...
How long ago was that cut? How long you been in Tennessee? Since 2008 or 2007. I don't really remember the exact day. Did you tell your mom about it? Yes, sir. What'd she do? She didn't believe me. Didn't believe you? How did he look at you after that? No, sir. Just that one time is when he did it? Yes, sir.
How old would you have been then? Did you hold any ill will towards him for that?
Yeah, sure.
And the conversation you had with your mother about that, can you tell us about that?
She thought it was not much action.
Did she ever talk to him?
Not that I know of.
Did he never mentioned anything?
No, sure.
Why did he stop doing it?
I stopped bathing after that.
You stopped bathing,
Yes, sir.
and he stopped, and that made him stop.
Yes, sir. When you mean stop bathing, you mean you stop taking baths and showers altogether? Yes, sir. So how did you clean yourself? I didn't. You haven't cleaned yourself since 2008? I have inconsistent intervals, but it's not very common. Okay.
The detectives have referred to a notebook they found at the house, which killed him ever since. The second entry, a confession, is believed to be written right after he killed his mother. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel remorse. My only true regret was that I didn't give her a faster death. I didn't want her to suffer.
A story. And just because it's your story and we're sitting here today doesn't make it any less important to us. It's important to us to find out what the truth is. We would like to deal with that, but we want to hear your side of it. We want to know what happened. Why did, that obviously upset you. Your mom didn't do anything. You know why it took this long for you to act out?
Yeah, sure.
So you just boiled and boiled and boiled? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sure. Would there have been any certain things tonight that would have set that off? I mean, made you think about doing this? I mean, anything particular that happened of all nights, since 2008, it's 2012 now, of all nights since then that you would have did this? Yeah, sure.
Is the interview...
You did. I tell you. I mean, I guess whatever is necessary. Whatever's necessary, but I mean, what do you feel? I mean, what do you feel? I mean, if somebody was to do this to you, what should happen to them? I don't think it would really matter. I mean, because if you give them the death sentence, they'll die, and if you give them a life sentence, they'll die in prison anyway. So in the end, it doesn't really matter. So, did you think about the consequences when you did this? What could happen to you? Yes, sir. Can you tell me about that? No, sir. Well, I'd rather not, sir. I mean, I'm talking about, do you think if you get caught by the police and... do you think that was a possibility? Yes, sir. And if you got caught by the police, what do you think would happen to you? Well, since I only killed one person, I shouldn't get the life sentence. But I don't know how it works here.
The officer had just one last question for Zachary.
Do you always look at people through your eyebrows?
I don't know.
We've been doing it all morning. Do you do that? Is that a habit, or is that something that you're just starting to do?
I guess it's a habit. I've never really noticed.
You never really noticed?
No, sir.
Nobody's ever said anything to you about it?
No, sir.
Why'd you giggle?
Just...
I mean, you don't know that you do that right there?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm not picking on you, I'm just... It looks kind of evil when you do that. I'm gonna have to say. I think you know you're doing it. And you're smiling about it, so I think you're pretty aware of what you're doing.
No, I didn't realize I was doing it.
Yeah, you did.
Given what we know about her or villain, if Zachary's monotone voice and eerie eyebrow stare are all an act, it's impressive because he was able to keep up the act and not break character throughout the whole interrogation. They believe that at the time of the killing, Zachary didn't have the mental capacity to meet the legal definition of premeditation, and that his mental illness affected his ability to use reflection and judgment. In fact, the psychologist said that at the time of the crime, his thoughts were driven by psychosis. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and a depressive disorder. Changing his story from what he initially said to investigators, Zachary told one doctor that he had heard his deceased father speaking to him, and that he had allegedly urged him to kill his mother. Still, investigators pointed out that he had fled the house with bags he had already packed, ditched his phone, and told police that he'd been thinking about killing his mother for years, all demonstrating that he planned the crime. Zachary eventually appeared on the Dr. Phil show, where he gave yet another reason for killing his mother, this time changing his story completely and claiming that he did it because, quote, she wasn't taking care of my family. But still, in this interview, he maintains that he was the one who killed her. However, he would shock everyone, including his own legal defense, when in court he once again told a completely altered story, naming a different killer. During his trial, Josh sat directly behind Zachary, but the brothers never spoke. When Zachary took the witness stand, he changed the story he had been telling for 2.5 years and stated, quote, I didn't do it. He suddenly blamed the entire crime on Josh, claiming that he was the one who used the sledgehammer to kill their mother, and that he just took the fall, making him innocent. Following this, Zachary's attorney attempted to declare him mentally incompetent and for the case to be deemed a mistrial. Furthering the drama, after his lunch break, the attorney asked to be dismissed from the case, but was denied. The judge speculated that he wasn't sure if Zachary was the ultimate con man or manipulator or not, but that was the jury's job to figure out. Despite his last-ditch attempt to blame Josh, Zachary Davis was convicted of the first-degree murder of his mother, attempted first-degree murder of his brother, and aggravated arson. He was sentenced to 71 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 51 years. To this day, there is speculation that Zachary may have had aspirations